Hi everybody, this is Mark from New Media Service, and I just wanted to talk to you today about some of the confusion in identity services related to Microsoft Azure. I get it, there are like three different services with Active Directory in the name, and today I'm going to help try to explain those and clear up some of your confusion and give some examples on how each might be used. So hopefully I'll be able to answer some of your questions, and well, I'm just going to jump right in. Here are the three directory services from Azure that can be somewhat confusing. They are Active Directory Domain Services, or ADDS, Azure Active Directory, also known as Azure AD, and Azure Active Directory Domain Services, also known as Azure AD Domain Services. So first up is Active Directory Domain Services, or Active Directory, or just simply AD. Here are some of the characteristics. It uses a hierarchical directory, extensible schema, stores objects such as users, computers, groups, and security principals, uses group policy to manage users and devices. It's highly available, multi-master, supports Kerberos, LDAP, and NTLM for authentication. It's based on standards such as LDAP and DNS, and it requires dedicated domain controllers. It is an on-premise directory service that's been around for 20 years or so. Um, it's been around a long time, it's pretty well documented. It does require dedicated servers and uses a lot of resources, both for compute, for backup, version updates, patch management, and management of users and groups and sites. So there are some reasons that I can understand why people would be searching for an alternative. So next up we have Azure Active Directory. If you're using an O365 product or Azure product, then you are using Azure Active Directory. It's very different from AD, but the two do complement each other. Active Directory, for instance, supports LDAP and NTLM authentication, whereas Azure Active Directory supports web-based authentication such as OAuth or SAML. Here are some of the characteristics of Azure Active Directory. It's a cloud-based identity solution used for O365 and Azure User Management. Contains users, groups, applications, and security principles. It uses a web-based authentication such as OAuth or SAML. You can manage it with Microsoft Graph or API. It's multi-tenant, it's got a flat architecture, it's not extendable, no GPOs. It has 4 license options, free, basic, P1, and P2, and those vary on their features and prices. It is tenant-based and it's tied to an enrollment. So I just wanted to pause here real quick because I know that some of you might be asking yourselves that question. Is there a way to synchronize Active Directory and Azure Active Directory so that I do not have to manage 2 different identities for on-premise and the cloud? And the answer is yes. Microsoft in its infinite wisdom has created Active Directory, or AD Connect. It's a small service that runs on your internal network that replicates IDs and other attributes from Active Directory to Azure AD. It replicates password hashes and allows users to use the same password and username that they were using on Active Directory in Azure AD. It is capable of much more than that, but for the scope of this video, we're going to move on. I will be making a video in the future on AD Connect. You can stay tuned for that. In the meantime, let's get on to our third and final Active Directory version, and that is Azure Active Directory Domain Services. So Azure Active Directory Domain Service. This is close to ADDS, but hosted in Azure and does have some restrictions. Here are some characteristics. It's a cloud-based PaaS offering, or platform as a service. It uses Azure or LDAP, Kerberos, and NTLM authentication. It's compatible with Windows AD. It integrates with Azure AD. There are no domain or enterprise admin accounts. You cannot extend the schema. There's no domain or forest trust, and it is LDAP read only. It uses Azure AD as a source for management, so objects added to and managed from Azure Active Directory are replicated to Azure ADDS. So just as an example to put all these three services together that you can see here, I wanted to show you the directory synchronization and how it would take place. The identity is created in Active Directory, synchronized to Azure AD using AD Connect, and then to Azure Active Directory domain services. Why would you want to do this? This is the number one question. Well, let's say you have an application that does not support modern authentication, but you want to move it quickly to Azure without having to deploy servers as DCs or domain controllers. With this configuration, you can lift and shift the server to Azure without deploying AD servers or relying on a VPN or express route back to your network. So I hope that I've been able to cover the three services and give you kind of a clearer picture of what they are and what they do. I will be doing future videos on AD Connect and Azure Active Directory and ADDS as single parts, so stay tuned for those. I hope you have a better understanding of how you might want to use these within your organization. Um, Thanks for watching. This is Mark from New Media Service, and I will see you